Let's remember what's happening in the news. You and I prayed about this. This beast of $1 trillion, 90 days debt. Every 90 days, $1 trillion. Trump's come along and said, I'm going to knock $80 billion. I'm going to hit that $80 billion of propaganda from the Department of Education. I'm going to go after the $40 billion here of U.S. aid that is coming down with irresponsible spending around the globe. $40 billion, a slush fund for the CIA. I'm going to, and just look at this, $200 million to universities for DEI counseling courses to make sure that people are being trained in diversity training in the universities. This is just part of, remember, this debt monster Trump has to whack because America's teetering on bankruptcy and nobody's talking about it. That's going to be today's show. But, you know, it's getting cold out. And I want to tell you something. I'm enjoying a little bit of a different approach to the winter because in Texas it's so hot. And what I'm finding out is that while I'm watching Trump do his warfare there in Washington and it's getting cold here in Texas, I've discovered that there's these 100% cotton flannel sheets. Mike Lindell, I want to remind you about our Patriot brother. He's got those double brush, super soft, warm and cuddly comfort clingers. You just wrap yourself up in those flannel sheets, and it's like deep pockets for easy fit, velvety finish. It resists that pilling and that wear. And, you know, and I was having a discussion with my staff because other people are going, well, we like the other sheets. I can't figure out if they're called percale. What, ladies, tell me what they are. But they're this they like the cool, crisp feel. I like the warm sheets. They like the cool, crisp feel, that machine washable, 200 thread count. And so I want you guys to know that these are all under a super discount right now. Go to mypillow.com, use code Lance, and remember Mike Lindell. Let's not forget him. He didn't get into the Trump. Oh, there he is right behind me. He didn't get into the Trump administration. I thought Trump was going to have some kind of function for it. It's probably safe that he's not in there. But by the way, he's got his cross. He's also got a black onyx silver cross. What's the deal with that necklace he has? But he's got that available right now. And I didn't know he was going to be making that as part of his promo offer. But I'm letting you guys know. You go to mypillow.com, code Lance, and he has a mega sale going on now. Let's not forget Brother Mike. He's there with us. He puts us to bed at night and gives us something to go to sleep comfortable with. And by the way, I've got this really cool Russell Brand video. I want to start with that right now. Let's get into today's show.
If America becomes awakened to good nutrition, good exercise, good spiritual values, recognition that government itself is limited in what it can offer you. It's just a bunch of bureaucrats managing stuff. It's nice to have charismatic ones in the office, I suppose. But ultimately, it's just the maneuvering and management of resources. It's not your relationship with God. Bobby Kennedy, he operates on that level. Bobby Kennedy was a pariah just a couple of years ago because of his outspoken views on vaccines. If Bobby Kennedy enters the upper echelons of government, one of the most significant and powerful positions in the most significant and most powerful nation on earth, then America is going to change, isn't it? The corporations are going to have to radically review the way they influence government policy.
America's going to have to change, isn't it? I love Russell. I'm so glad for those years, for those of you that are with me, doing my Periscopian rants late at night all by myself in my garage. And here we are today. And I used to say, Red Rover, send Russell Brand over. And the Lord grabbed him and brought him in. And this is why I always loved him. He's an evangelist, basically. And he's saying reformation, awakening is coming. And why is it happening? Because when you got a guy at the highest levels of government like a Robert Kennedy, it's going to affect the policies of health and nutrition, and it's going to ripple effect all the way through the corporations and through the industries. And there's going to be the same thing is about to happen in education. The same thing is happening in the military, and the same thing is happening with foreign relations. There's a vast reordering going on. It's the reformation we have prayed for 20 years on our watch while we're here on planet Earth, my generation, doing everything we could, grinding our own way in and out, preaching and praying and prophesying this and that. But then God brings the mechanisms into place. And now in El Salvador, you're going to see how God raised up a ruler that's working with the United States to help us solve our problems. And you're going to see Argentina hasn't even crept up yet, but that's going to be another strategic partner in what's happening. God's reordering the nations. Listen, you can subscribe from wherever you're watching and leave a review on an Apple podcast or Spotify. These broadcasts are kind of unique. They're a prophetic amalgam of what's happening now, but I obviously am coming from a Christian perspective, and I'm looking at this from where have we been for the last decade since Trump came down the escalator and I walked out of Trump Towers and started blathering about, hey, this is the Cyrus God has raised up. People thought I was out of my mind, but I was right, and I believe today we're watching history unfold. Chelsea, you're here with me today. I'm pointing over you this way. There you go. How are you?
Good. How are you?
In the studio. And what are we going to be focused on today? We got you helped me get my news organized here, and we're going to be kicking in with let's take a look at the hidden hand of influence. Trump is dismantling these institutions, and people have no idea what's going on. And you're hearing the left screaming and squawking. We have $1 trillion of debt running on the clock every 90 days. Trump is trying to keep America out of bankruptcy. This is a scary thing. Remember this one prophet that had prophesied about him getting shot and blood falling down his face and his ear getting, it was an amazingly accurate prophecy considering so many aspects of it. And he did say that he saw Trump with his hands on his head and as soon as he gets in the Oval Office, and he has a sweeping victory. The Patriots vote him in, but then he's got his hand on his head, so, what am I going to do? And it was an economic meltdown. Well, then he kind of updated that. I know some of you guys aren't into this, but I am. And he said, no, I thought that the Lord said that he's staying. It's kind of like that was a glimpse of things to come, but that God is moving the window back. There's an enlarged grace right now. And I think God is literally, we will look back and say that if America doesn't repent, if America doesn't change, if America doesn't have a shift, if it shifts back into the devolution of where it was, then it isn't because God didn't visit us with grace and mercy and give us a way out. So I think we're getting that pause from heaven right now where God is giving us grace to reorder things. But I want you to listen to some of his new talent he's got. Carolyn Levitt. What do you think of Carolyn, Chelsea?
I think she's great. She's the youngest press secretary we've ever had. I love her attitude. She's just, hey, it is what it is. I don't care what you people think in the press room. I'm going to tell the truth how it is, and I think she's awesome. I love her.
And it's so classic Trump. He likes attractive-looking women that are sassy and smart and able to handle media. He's actually not sexist at all. He likes the strong women that can handle that microphone. So I want you to hear Carolyn's going to drop some science out there and help the president by making some sound bites on why U.S. aid and Elon Musk are over the target while they're cutting this bureaucratic fat.
Through USAID over the past several years, these are some of the insane priorities that organization has been spending money on. $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $70,000 for a production of a DEI musical in Ireland, $47,000 for a transgender opera in Colombia, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. I don't know about you, but as an American taxpayer, I don't want my dollars going towards this crap, and I know the American people don't either, and that's exactly what Elon Musk has been tasked by President Trump to do, to get the fraud, waste, and abuse out of our federal government. Thank you, guys.
Kaboom! And thank you very much. She smiles and walks away while all the hyenas are all cackling. But you know who one of my favorite guys is in the Senate? And I loved it, like Russell Brand did say, that these are bureaucrats who are supposed to keep the machinery running. It's nice to have a charismatic personality now and then. Here's John Kennedy, one of my favorite guys, for giving a Lincoln-like proverb to summarize for the mystified what's going on. Catch John Kennedy.
To my friends who are upset, I would say with respect, call somebody who cares. They better get used to this. It's USAID today. It's going to be Department of Education tomorrow.
Oh, my gosh. I wonder what Linda McMahon is going to do when she's got to go up against all of those people that love spending government money on federal programs. Understand what Trump is doing. He's saying the Department of Education that was brought into existence by executive order by Jimmy Carter, I think, that became this typical monolithic Leviathan that extended its teacher union textbook organization into the Democrat Party and got into the classrooms. And then during COVID, all the moms freaked out when they realized that little Johnny and Susie were being given all kinds of transgender flags in the room and all weird stuff being taught. And now you're finding out that they're actually propagandizing kids all the way down from to K through 12 with the whatever the leftist doctrine is, and almost like it's like a Catholic school would give you what, catechism? Well, the left has this catechism. It's woke catechizing. And Kennedy's saying that Trump wants to dismantle. Now, the problem is, listen to this real important statement, 60% of Americans, that's the average American, who, Rush Limbaugh would refer to as the low information voter, doesn't realize that the state duplicates the same apparatus. So you got the bloated federal government with its billions of dollars of the National Education Association, which has an agenda that's ideologically incompatible with over half the country. And nevertheless, the state has to now work under the federal government's supervision in what it does. And it duplicates the same complexity because the state's got to deliver it. And Trump is saying, get rid of the federal, propaganda, get rid of the control, let the states be able to choose what they want to do. In fact, I think school choice should be finally pushed to the front. Let parents have money they're paying in taxes. They should be able to put into the school that best meets the criteria of educating their child. And if the school system is failing, then let the parent have the option of a charter school. Trump's pushing it. He said, let the states or let the governor and the Secretary of State, let them explain to you why kids are flunking out of school and why out of all the billions and trillions we spend, we're so ranked so low compared to what's coming out of India and China in a competitive world where our kids got to work. I think they're onto something, but this is not going over well. You're seeing an awful lot of anxiety on the left. I want you to catch this. Some of our classic murmurs. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch this segment. This is painful. I normally don't like doing this. When Bannon does it and he plays what the left is doing, it's like nails on a chalkboard. But you got to hear it because so many people in America, half the country is voting different than you. You got to realize when you win by a popular vote of 1 million votes, well, that's not exactly the slam dunk mandate you really want, but Trump's got it now. He's got enough power so that he can power on and do the difficult task. But I want you to listen to the screeching of the left. Now, remember what I said. Almost in every 90 days, we are bankrupting ourselves to another trillion. It's money we do not have that eventually will collapse the entire system. Listen to how the left squeals when it comes to taking the bloated budget and threatening their cash flow. Catch this.
We have convened here in the right place, the Treasury Department. We have got to tell Elon Musk, nobody elected your ass. And now you want to take everybody else's payroll and make sure that they don't make the kind of money that you've made. Oh, you want to use our money to go to Mars? No. We want to use our money right here in Washington, D.C.
We will not take this. We will fight back.
Fight back. Fight back.
And as I close out, because I know we've been out here for a long time, and shut down the Senate. We are at war.
And right now, all across America, people are knocked down, but they are getting up and they are going to fight the dictator of Donald Trump and his henchman, Elon Musk. We cannot allow this unlawful, unfair, unconstitutional act to stand. We are going to stand and fight.
Elon Musk wants everyone in America to be at the mercy of Elon Musk. We are here to fight back.
Well, I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen.
And we cannot.
All right, stop it. I can only take so much of that. Here's the reality. None of what they're saying is actually true. Elon Musk is a private citizen who saw the debt and saw how it was going to collapse the economy of the West, and came as a citizen, kind of like the great story of America when the revolution happened, and ordinary coppersmiths and ordinary, bootmakers and shopkeepers put aside their colonial enterprise and took up the arms that were necessary to throw off the tyranny of Great Britain running the country. And they became heroes because they rose to the test. Elon Musk and Donald Trump come out of private enterprise, come out of business in order to save America from these people, the crazy political class who derive their power, their prestige, and their millions of dollars from being at the trough of government spending at the expense of the American taxpayer. And so Babylon Bee nails it with the classic sense of comedic timing they always have. You heard Trump is the dictator? Well, Trump becomes the first fascist in history to actually reduce the size of government. Check that out. Trump, the very first dictator in history to reduce the size. You see, fascists are supposedly, like Hitler, expanded government control over all industry, which is what the Democrats do. Take control of all industry. By the way, the unelected, the Minister Sousa made a great point. Oh, I'll get to that in a second. And let's check the other Babylon Bee headline. Democrats warn Trump's unelected shadow government is dismantling their unelected shadow government. What does that mean? Well, that means that you're watching the I think it's how Bannon's War Room starts, the primal scream of a dying regime. That's exactly how that goes. Dennis D'Souza asks, well, when it comes to the unelected bureaucrats, who actually elected Anthony Fauci? I want you to make sure that you subscribe when you're watching, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And we're going to be right back. You don't want to miss one segment of today's show.
Just like all of you, I had problems sleeping. I had tried every pillow out there and nothing worked. I'd flip-flop all night, use my arm for support, and fall asleep, or I'd wake up with a sore neck or maybe a headache. Well, quality sleep comes from keeping your neck straight at night. You have to fill in that space between your head and your bed. That's why I invented MyPillow. MyPillow's patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs, and it doesn't matter if you sleep on your back, stomach, side, or any combination of all three.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night, and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get Classic King MyPillows for only $19.98. Queen size just $18.98. Standard Classic MyPillows only $14.98. That's right, only $14.98. Plus all orders $75 or more ship absolutely free.
Go to MyPillow.com and use promo code Lance to save big on all of Mike's best products. That's promo code Lance.
Donald Trump's policies are creating a whole new effect in terms of the global alignment of nations. I've said for years, and I believe I'm correct, that there are sheep and goat nation formations that are happening. Sovereign nations are the sheep nations. That is those nations that are not easily assimilated into the one world beast system that Davos wants to create, China wants to create, and the vision of the caliphate, the Muslim domination of their territory wants to create. And something resists. That's the American idea of the sovereignty of nations. Came largely out of the Reformation in Europe with the Peace of Westphalia that was established in the 1500s, which was the kind of the cathartic resolution of what the Catholic Church as an empire was trying to create. There's always been an empire spirit in the world. One ring to rule them all. Alexander the Great wanted it. Julius Caesar wanted it. It's always been an aspiration. And the United States has been protected from that. Now the left comes along and wants to create that in the United States and collapse the United States into that beast system. Those of you that are discerning people understand what I'm talking about. A historical trend line is it's a verifiable thesis that I'm presenting to you, that in the end-time battle of nations, we're in a period where God is actually bringing a season of reformation and strengthening those things that remain. And so you're seeing El Salvador, boom, a robust, autonomous nation seeking its own place in the sun, aligned with God's will and prospering. Argentina, seeking its place in the sun, aligned with God's will, autonomous, and in a sense, its own MAGA agenda, making Argentina great again. And they're finally out of debt and actually changing because they've got Cyrus rulers that rise up. The prayers of the people are behind them. This is an exciting day to be alive if you have the Wallnau worldview, because these things do fit. It takes a while to get it, but if you've been listening to me for years, all this stuff is kind of coming together. I never quite hit the panic bar that Glenn Beck hit, but I agreed 100% with his analysis of the threat because I have a Pentecostal worldview, which says that God's going to pour out his spirit in all flesh, and that in the end there will be sheep nations and goat nations. We're not in the season now when Satan is able to consolidate his agenda on the earth. We have the pushback, and Trump is an answer to the prayers of Christians around the world, even though he's pursuing a vigorous America First policy. When America's strong, behold how the other nations don't cannibalize each other so easily, because you have to have a stable world. Now, so people were mad at Trump because, oh, he's creating havoc. I saw Chuck Schumer coming out with guacamole. Trump's going to have, they want to fight him any way they can. They look stupid when they do, because Trump's moving so fast. He's like a speedboat, and these clunky guys are like trying to keep up with him. And so Trump says, tariffs on Mexico, tariffs on Canada. Understand the art of the deal. If you read his book, Trump always goes to the most extreme position possible for his first offer. Then it makes you go, what? And then you respond with an extreme position. He says, all right, let's find some common ground. And you end up meeting him where he wants to meet in the first place. What do you think, Charles?
He's definitely shaking things up. I mean, did you see what happened when he negotiated the deals with Mexico and Canada? How the Canadian dollar and Mexican peso, the value plummeted. I mean, we can definitely see, I have whiplash trying to keep up with everything Trump and his team are doing. Like, I don't know how you feel. I have whiplash. I can't keep up. It's so exciting. He's doing so many great things. And if he keeps going at this pace, I think he might run out of things to do, honestly.
Well, so here's the point. Everybody was going nutty because what's Trump doing? And they look at the impact it's going to have on the American economy of Canada. And the left, of course, screeches. You can't do tariffs with Canada. You can't. What does Trump actually want? He speeds up the process. He gets them where he wants them fast. So Canadians agree to ensure we have a secure northern border. Trump tweets out with his tweet diplomacy on Truth. I guess this is on Truth Social, huh?
Yeah, Truth Social.
And to finally end the deadly scourge of drugs like fentanyl that have been pouring into our country, killing hundreds of thousands of Americans while destroying their families and communities all across our country. Canada will implement their $1.3 billion border plan as per Prime Minister Trudeau. He didn't call him governor there. We'll be reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, and personnel, enhanced coordination with our American partners, and increased resources to stop the flow of fentanyl. Nearly 10,000 frontline personnel are and will be working on protecting the border. In addition, Canada's making new commitments to appoint a fentanyl czar. We will list cartels as terrorists, ensure 24/7 eyes on the border, launch a Canadian-U.S. strike force, joint strike force, to combat organized crime, fentanyl, and money laundering. I've also signed a new intelligence directive on organized crime and fentanyl. We're going to be backing it with $200 million. What is Trump saying? He's saying, this is what I wanted. And since you weren't giving it to me, I got your attention. And meanwhile, everybody was freaking out of the tariffs. Tariffs are temporarily, I like how he does this, putting it on a hold right now. Why is Trump saying he's putting it on hold? Because he doesn't like the billions of dollars of trade deficit we have. That annoys him. But this is a step in the right direction. Meanwhile, what's happening with Mexico? Mexico, likewise, wants to appease his concerns about border security and traffic. So they match the same zeal that Canada did. I think Benny Johnson summarizes the new Mexican border deal. Would you read that for us here, Chelsea? For those on the podcast, they can't see it.
Yes, Mexico surrenders to President Trump. After intense negotiations, the president of Mexico has bowed to Trump's demands. Tariffs halted for 1 month. Mexico capitulates to Trump's tariff threat. 10,000 troops deployed to the border. Mexico yields to Trump's demand for border security. U.S. to intensify gun control efforts. Mexico concedes to Trump terms on arms trafficking. So there's a lot of stuff. And then Trump also tweeted on it on True Social. He said, I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border, separating Mexico and the United States. These soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal immigrants into our country. I mean, this was really, the core of what he wanted was to make the border safer. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period during which we all have negotiations. That it goes on, but you get the point.
Well, and now you can bring back up that fall of the Canadian dollar. Now you can see this got their attention immediately. You can see the impact on the economy, and other nations see this. So the message to them is, just play ball with Trump. Now, what's interesting is China has the 10% tariff on everything coming in from China. Why is Trump putting the 10% on them? Because he wants a phone call with President Xi. You got to understand how he's working. This puts a little urgency. We're not going to drag our feet with Trump. We got to move. This guy's got a pace, ladies and gentlemen. It's fascinating. He's like Napoleon in the middle of half a dozen campaigns, and he's now got his Marshal Ney and his various generals out there, and they're not even fully in office yet. So Trump agrees to pause the tariffs on Mexico. But what's going to happen? You're going to see the fentanyl trafficking and the illegal trafficking buttoned up fast. By the way, Trump plans to announce taxes on imports from Europe. I should be laughing, but it's just like, it's such a different America today. It didn't take long. And everybody's waking up going, shoot, he's back. And
well, I want to ask you a question. So with him implementing all these taxes and all these tariffs, how do you think this will impact our economy and businesses? Like, do you think that more companies will bring their businesses back home? Do you think this will help small businesses? I'm curious to know your take on it. Trump's
agenda is economic development for the United States. And he actually believes that the tariffs, McKinley, I think it was McKinley, was one of his favorite presidents. He said during the McKinley era, he just basically said, we're just going to tariff everybody and do away with the income tax. And we're such an economic engine to the world. We're buying and consuming 50% of the world's goods and stuff. Just play ball with us, Take our stuff, we'll take yours. And if we don't have balance, we're going to tariff it. And you would think that the tariff is actually a penalty on you. But it's like one guy said, well, if a tariff is a penalty on you, why do countries like Canada respond by, oh, yeah, well, then we're going to tariff you? In other words, they're responding that way because the tariff actually works to the advantage of the country that is doing it. So Trump is, I think he's invigorating the realization that business has got to be done with America. And look what he did with the BRICS nations. You talk about a gutsy move. While Biden is snoozing over there, we had like 35, 40 nations lining up against the dollar saying we'll do business with each other and we will not do it with the dollar. We'll let the America just collapse. And Trump said, whoa, any of you do that, it's 100% tariffs, 100% on all of you. It's like right away, Saudi Arabia was the next country into the cartel of BRICS nations. And they said, are you in? And they go, well, wait a second, hold it. I know they don't talk with a Jewish accent, but let's think about this. I don't know if it's a good idea right now. So everybody's frozen because Trump is unpredictable. And right now, he's got the cards in his hands. So just keep praying. Divine protection on him and Elon on the cabinet. I'm serious because there's a wind to their back. And it's a reformation around the globe. Hard to believe we're out of time. Listen, you can help me. You know what I need from you? If you're a friend of mine, if you've been working with me for a couple of years, please just leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Because in the algorithm that helps us to be found when people are looking for truth with a perspective, with a biblical worldview. Leave that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you are watching. And we're going to hit this program again tomorrow. We got so much we have to talk about in this Reformation moment. What to be looking for. See you there. We're entering a period of time that has increased hostility against people of faith. It's a time when Christians are going to be tested on a moral, physical, psychological, and even a financial basis. I'm here to remind you that God is the one who has blessed you thus far, and He will take care of you in the future. You have a divine responsibility, however, to see trouble and prepare yourself. For example, with record inflation eating away at the value of the U.S. dollar, the savings in your retirement account is in danger of slipping away. I recommend diversifying your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into physical gold. And the best way to do that is with a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Now that includes no penalties, there's no taxes when you transfer current retirement funds into Birch Gold. To see how it works, I want you to go to lancewallnau.com/Birch and get your free info kit, and you'll be glad that you did.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.